Well, holy shit. Welcome back, everybody, to my Better Call Saul reviews. And now we are at episode 3 of Better Call Saul Season 6, titled Rock and Hard Place. And full spoilers from here on out, guys. I think that should be obvious when I say recap and review, but just in case you didn't pick up on that, I will be getting into the details of this episode. This is absolutely an episode that you don't want to hear the details of before you've seen the episode. So go check it out, AMC Plus or Netflix, which is dropping today. Come back, check out this review if you have not. But for everybody else, wow. All right, so the whole episode essentially is a swan song for Nacho. I picked up on that pretty early, the way that they were really focusing in on him, especially the phone call with his father. I was like, they wouldn't do that if he was going to escape and do a switcheroo or something. This is probably going to be an episode where he dies. And I gotta say, it was mixed emotions. There's mixed emotions on the death of this character, because in one way, I think he goes out like a man. He goes out badass. He certainly makes a stamp. And on the other end, everything that happens after he shoots himself was just so brutal that it was almost shocking. So episode starts off, obviously, you have right where the second episode ends, where Nacho's fleeing in this shitty vehicle, and it eventually craps out and he runs and he hides in this abandoned oil container, and has to do like this oil baptism where he goes backwards into this stuff, which was a really cool shot. A really cool shot where they show him from behind as he just dips himself into this black abyss, and then right after he gets down, you see one of the twins' heads pop in and do a Terminator look around trying to find him. So that whole sequence was pretty tense. It was pretty crazy. I really enjoyed that one. Him eventually getting to this little mechanic's place, this garage, cleaning himself up and giving his last phone call to his father, I thought was bittersweet, because obviously his father doesn't realize it's the last time he's ever going to speak to his son. But the way that he was just basically checking in on him, just a regular phone call, seems like everything was normal, and it was something that tugged on my heartstrings a bit. Father-son stuff always gets me, so it was that moment that I realized this is probably going to be when he's going to die. It's early in the season, but that would be pretty bold if they did that, and Better Call Saul and Breaking Bad are certainly bold, if nothing else. So we get eventually tailed back into that scene that was in episode 2, to where Mike is standing in front of the door. He won't let Victor go and grab Nacho's father. He's standing against Gus and saying, we're not going that way. Gets a phone call. And now we see the other side of the phone call, where Nacho's attitude comes back out again. Like, you motherfuckers, you knew it. And it did give me a little more context to the things that happened in the previous 2 episodes that I had questions about, regarding Mike putting that piece of paper into that safe for the Salamancas to find with the phone number and everything. And I'm beginning to understand, and I did have a viewer point this out to me as well, that kind of helped me understand Mike a little bit more. I'm beginning to understand that Mike pretty much views everybody that's in this drug trade as fair game. Like, whether or not he likes you or not, whether or not he actually wants you to befall that fate or not, is kind of irrelevant. He's a soldier, and he very much takes it that way. Like he says, not my call. Not my call. And so it made more sense to me that he would put that stuff in there, eventually leading to what was supposed to be Nacho's capture and torture and murder, because he's in the game. He did it to himself. Whereas Mike's only real concern is keeping Nacho's father out of everything, because he has nothing to do with any of this. He's not a player. He's not in this game. He's innocent. And so it just kind of reinforced Mike's very black and white moral compass to me. And so it made a lot more sense. But then you get here to where Nacho is talking to him, eventually talks to Gus, and comes to the realization that, like, hey, as long as I'm out here running around, whether I'm alive or if I actually get caught by the Salamancas, this is bad for you. So I'll turn myself into you if you can guarantee my father's safety. And I love the fact that Gus, he's like, oh, if you're a man of your word, there's no reason for us to ever touch your father. And he's like, I don't need to hear it from you, motherfucker. And so he hands the phone back over to Mike, like, Gus, shut the hell up. Nobody cares what you think. I want to know if Mike is in on this, because he's the only one who's going to guarantee me this. I thought that was really cool. So from that point forward, it was very bittersweet, everything regarding Nacho, because I just knew it was eventually leading to what it was leading to, where him and Mike have that drink, and he has like his last meal, and they got to beat the shit out of him to make it look real, and just takes everything like a man. Like it really, it kind of reminded me of the episode of Sons of Anarchy. Spoiler alert if you have not watched Sons of Anarchy. 3, 2, 1, where Opie dies. And it very much gave you that kind of swan song feeling throughout the episode, and a very similar emotional response whenever it gets to that point. So I really thought that it was an interesting way to send off this character. They didn't want to just shoot him out of nowhere as like a shock value. They really wanted to give a swan song to this character, and eventually leading to the point where they have this little standoff. You got the Salamancas, you've got, I forget the other guy's name, the other Don, the one that gets killed insignificantly in Breaking Bad. You've got, of course, Gus and his 2 lackeys, and Mike's, got the sniper rifle on everybody. And the whole plan is that, you're going to come here, you're going to assign the blame to this other cartel family, and then you're going to try to run away, and my guy's going to shoot you. That way they don't take you and torture you. That's what's going to happen. And I love the fact that he takes it so much further, that he sits there and they ask him multiple times, who are you working for? Because they want him to say Gus. They suspect Gus, at least Hector does. They suspect Gus, they're waiting for it. And Nacho keeps looking at Gus. Every single time they ask him a question, he's looking at Gus. And it's making Gus really tense, and it was making me tense. I was like, is he going to fuck him over? Is he going to say, what the hell with it? It was him. And so the whole scene there is just boiling. And then eventually he starts to say his lines, starts to say what family assigned him to this and that he's been working for him forever. But then he takes it so much further to where he's just like, yeah, I hated your fucking cousin, and I do it again, and I do it again, and I wish I could do it myself. Oh, by the way, Hector, you wheelchair bitch, I'm the one who put you there. And like, that was the moment where I was like, yes, go out like a man, baby. And so that was a really, really great way to finally like bring his character back, like that initial attitude, that boiling rage that he got a little bit in the earlier seasons, bringing it back now right before he's about to be taken out. And he doesn't go through with the plan. He doesn't go through with running away and getting shot in the back or whatever their plan was. He gets a piece of glass, which was alluded to in the opening, cuts his restraints, grabs a gun, holds it to the Don, and then eventually just takes his own life. Just takes his fate into his own hands. And I just thought it was a badass way for that character to go out. I will say, I'm a little on the fence about how they have used his character throughout this entire show, because on one end, I think he's one of the more interesting characters, and I've loved seeing his journey, and I've loved seeing the ups and downs and how complicated his character has become to where he seemed like this very black and white thug, and then eventually you realize he's got a moral code. He doesn't like the Salamancas. He wants to try to get rid of them. He starts to help Mike, eventually gets blackmailed and has to help Gus, leading to the last couple of seasons and where he's at now. But he's never really been promoted to much more of a background character in any of these seasons. And that's something that was a small frustration that I've had. And I'll get more into that as I get into season 3, 4, and 5 and my reviews of them. But it always feels like his story's going to get bigger, and it never does. Like, he just disappears for episodes at a time. And so the fact that he was taken out so quickly in this season kind of fits that a little bit. I love the way that he was taken out. I think that it hit all the notes that it needed to. I still feel like there was more we could have done with the character, and I'll pretty much leave it on that. But where it really got gut-wrenching for me, to where it was just like, dude, this is brutal, like this is rough, was after he takes his own life and you've got Hector sitting there, and they pick him up and they bring him over and they put the gun in his hand like Grandpa from Texas Chainsaw, and he just starts popping rounds into his lifeless body. And it was just like, dude, like, I know you're cartel members, but god damn, the guy's already dead. Like, that was a little bit rough. So moving on beyond Nacho, that's the biggest thing that everybody's gonna want to talk about with this episode. That was the big holy shit. That was the thing that's gonna be all over Twitter and unfortunately YouTube too. I'm glad I watched the episode live, and I texted my buddy Sean Chandler. I'm like, I know you're waiting to watch this season, but beware, because there's spoilers and headlines everywhere, just like an hour after the episode aired. So as far as Jimmy and Kim, they're continuing their path against Howard Hamlin, and in a really cool sequence in this episode where they're kind of trying to figure out how to get his car. They're thinking about like replicating his car's key and replicating his license plate and trying to do something with his car and take it, and they're realizing the logistic problems with that. And so eventually they hire Huel as Howard does his little valet parking thing at this restaurant. I think it's the one that we saw where he got into that fight with Kim in like season 5. That they're going to he pickpockets the key off of the valet, and then they have this really tense sequence where they're trying to copy the key when the kid goes back up to the main floor, realizes he doesn't have the key, and comes back down. And I love the character of Huel. I kind of wish that they would get Bill Burr's character in here at some point, just because I'm a Bill Burr whore, but I've always loved his character ever since Breaking Bad. I love his attitude in that, and it's a very different shade of his character in Better Call Saul. It's before he becomes the henchman. But I always like whenever you get to see these henchmen and how they've been helping Saul this whole time. So that whole sequence was really cool. I'm still very curious on when this is going to boil over for Jimmy and Kim, because we've done 3 episodes now of them just kind of setting the pieces together, trying to take out Howard Hamlin. And at some point, probably right by the midpoint of this season where they're going to cut off and take a break, there's got to be something that's going to blow up in their face. Like, it's the final season, we know it's coming, so I'm really waiting for that. But I am enjoying along the ride seeing how they're systematically trying to screw this guy over, how they're trying to ruin his reputation, and I'm very curious what they're going to do with this key, what they're going to do with this car. And I think it did a good job at, progressing their stuff, being that is the main storyline, while not taking away the focus from Nacho, because this was very much Nacho's episode. And so no matter what was going on with Jimmy and Kim, that was going to remain our focus, that was going to remain our concern. And so they did a really good job with this car key heist to have a fun Jimmy little scam sequence while keeping all of the focus and keeping the emotions high regarding Nacho's character. And I will say, Michael Mando did an awesome job with this character, an awesome job on this show. I really like this actor a lot. I recognize him all the time as Voss from Far Cry 3. That's kind of what I always see whenever I see and hear his voice, but he was a great standout character. For being somebody that's never been the forefront of the story, for somebody that's never been like promoted to co-lead, I would argue that there's a lot of people out there that are probably more invested in his character than some of our lead characters. And that's all because of his performance. He's got a lot of multi-layers to him and a lot of layers to this character and the emotions of the character. I thought he did a great job with. So overall, for a 3rd episode, being the fact that we've already got a gigantic character death, and now we have closed the door on an entire storyline that now just opens up how much bigger the other storylines are going to be for the remainder of this season. I thought it was pretty intense. It was a very good episode, very good swan song for his character. I felt that it was the right amount of emotional, gripping, tense, and also very hard to watch with everything that happens after he takes his own life. So we love you, Nacho. I love you, Nacho. Really good episode. So what do you guys think of episode 3, Rock and Hard Place? Where do you think this season's going to go from here on out? Do you feel like this was a good, effective time to take out the character of Nacho, or are you disappointed and wanted him to be further on in this show? Let me know all of your thoughts down below, guys, and we will talk about it. Please like and share this video and hit that subscribe button. If you're a fan of Better Call Saul, I'm reviewing every individual episode after it airs for this final season. I've also been doing individual season reviews for the 5 seasons leading up to this, so I just dropped my season 2 review yesterday. This coming Monday will be season 3, and then so on and so forth. So if you're a fan of this show or Breaking Bad, I got a ton of content for you. Please hit that subscribe button. Don't miss out on any of that. Thank you guys for watching as always, and remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean that you have to be.